Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ascension Teachings. I'm your host Peter Maxwell Slattery and thank you again for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this series coming to you from Edge of Wonder TV. And as I said, I'm filming this all the way over in Australia. I'm actually in Australia and sending this to Edge of Wonder, and big shout out to them and all you guys for supporting this series as well. And as I said, I hope you're enjoying it and getting something from it. So today what I want to go into is actually the paranormal aspect of the Ascension Teachings, what can actually happen when interacting with certain beings and they come through into this reality. And what I want to start off with is the misty stuff. So here's a photo I took a few years ago. Now that's the original on the left, and on the right I've auto adjusted it, and as you can see in the circle there's an apparition type form of a grey alien. This is the guardian type race. Now I know that what's going on here is this is a being in its craft, and we're seeing it come through in apparition form. And so this stuff is happening all the time. I've been with people at the ranch at ECETI, and some people were actually able to perceive a craft with me in this state. Many people out on the field could not see it. And so this is the type of stuff I want to cover now. Now, one thing you can do to experience this yourself after doing a clearing and setting an intention, and I see this stuff all the time. When James Gilliland came and stayed with me here in Australia, he said he'd never seen so much activity like this in his life, not just with the crafts, but even the beings that were around me and the home that I was in. And I think it's because of just all the energies of the people that come there, not just me. I seem to pick up on it, but it seemed to be like a meeting type place. And so one way you can experience this yourself is get low lighting, preferably orange sort of type light, because it's light on the eyes in the evening. And even having a salt lamp, they work beautifully for this. So I'll sit it somewhere in front of you and sort of get on a couch with a couple of people. And why I'm saying with somebody else is because what happens is you'll start to see this misty stuff, and it will look like it's shimmering, almost like on a hot day, that sort of wave coming off the road, that sort of heat effect. It can look like that, or white misty stuff, smoky stuff. It comes in many different ways. And what this is it's what the beings appear like before they can fully manifest, or sometimes as much as they can break into this reality. That is a byproduct of how they appear. So when sitting down, don't focus on anything, don't focus on the light. If you could have like a television even in front of you, and not, or you could be watching it or not even watching it, but that sort of setup where you've got a couch and you've got a main focal point in that room. Try to have the lighting sort of on each side of maybe the TV, or one of the lights on the side of the TV. And why I'm saying this is it sort of depends on perspective. So a lot of the time people will see this stuff in their peripheral vision, and it's got to do with the cones in the eye, the way that they're shaped. Now, I can see that a lot of the time head on. I know that also the original people in Australia and America can see it head on, especially the Australian Aboriginals. There's something apparently within their genetics where they've got great eyesight in distance and even detail. So they tend to see things that most people don't. But with that said, what you do, you have the light there. Sit there relaxing, don't look at the light or anything, even have a conversation. What you'll start to notice is stuff passing by, and you'll go, did you see that? And you'll see people go, I thought that was a trick of my eye, and you'll keep sitting there and you'll see something else happen. Now what that is doing is tuning you in to be able to perceive that, which is in the matter that we're talking about, where normally we can only see a fraction of 0.005% of physical matter. So here's a craft here that I filmed at ECETI Ranch. Again, there was a few people at the ranch there out on the Field of Dreams, which looks onto Mount Adams. Now, a majority of the people there could not even see what I was talking about. I wasn't bothering to get their attention because I know that sometimes I can miss capturing this activity if I'm too focused on getting everybody to see it. But those that were close to me saw exactly what was going on. So here's some footage here of a craft in apparition form, but it was just letting us know that it was about. Perfect on camera.
Beautiful.
This is, yeah. Geez, you can see it. So that's the craft in front of us right now. Fuck, I've got to sit back on it. Can you see that, Levi?
Yeah, I can see it.
I see it.
I don't know how long this is going to last.
Probably like a few seconds. It's kind of...
Oh, it's starting to go, doll. It's gone. It's gone. Oh, wait, it's here still. I've still got it. Yeah, yep.
Yo, I see it.
Oh, it's almost gone in infrared.
Bro.
It's still there slightly. It was right here, all that there that was blurry and smoky, that was it.
You recording it, yeah?
Yeah. So, here you can see again, it's a bit more detailed, that sort of purple mist in the middle of the screen there. Now this was the middle of summer, there was no smoke about, it wasn't that cold yet, though it does get cold there at night time. This materialised and it disappeared as well after that amount of time. So absolutely amazing. And this has been analysed by Jason Gleaves from UFO Only, who's done a lot of work for myself in image analysis. He's an expert. He's ex-UK Air Force and aerospace. So this is definitely the real deal, and this is what I'm talking about that's going on all the time. I see these misty apparitions, spirits, ETs in this form around people. I see it in the city, in the country, everywhere I go I see this. So once you start to tap in, you start to see this stuff, and it's not about being external, but the more that you do the inner work, you rise to the occasion, you start to meet this fellow family that we have, the greater family of man through the planes and dimensions, and when interacting with them, you start to realise that they're on the same journey as well, on the way back to source, and they're doing self-mastery in the density that they're in as well. And also, here with the analysis from Jason Gleaves, you can see a little bit more detail. He sees some anomalies there within the mist. Now there's so much different types of phenomena that can happen. There is flashing lights, that is very common, whether down low on the ground or up high. You can see balls of light, orbs, that can sort of explode into this reality, then you see them just blink out or implode on themselves. Crafts do the same thing. There can be weird noises come through that are unexplainable, sometimes mechanical like. You can be getting touched. You can feel different sensations in terms of temperature. So sometimes when I'm doing CE5, and I'll cover this bit more in later episodes, but sometimes when you're doing CE5 or you're connecting with these beings, you can feel the temperature get really cold or get really hot. So we could be out in the middle of, in the Alpine district where it gets very cold, and all of a sudden it feels like it's a tropical area that you're in, with the temperature just heating right up. And these crafts can actually land on you, and that's where you can start to walk out and find where the temperature changes, and you can walk around the peripheral of the craft. And in your peripheral vision, if you can't see it straight on, you can actually see the beings and the craft structure in apparition form. So crazy stuff, but that's a lot, what happens a lot of the time. Also, smells can come through that are unexplainable as well. Sometimes on the crafts when they're landing, or even with the spirits about, there can be certain smells come through. So the beings can really connect with us in many different ways, even manipulating our five sense reality to let us know that something, I guess we could say paranormal, even though it's really normal, is going on. Now, something to bring into this right now I wanted to go into was the translated word of Buddha. So here we go. Ancient contacts with the sky people. In Tibet, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but basically the translated word of Buddha, completed in 1411, tells of flying pearls in the sky and of transparent spears carrying gods to visit man. Tibetan kings came from the stars. And now look at this with what I'm filming on a continuous basis over many years now. Now what you're going to see is me actually filming my own camera. So I've got a camera on a tripod filming an object, and I've got a camera filming the camera and filming the object. So you can see I'm not faking this in any way. So, I'll let you make up your own mind, but think about it. What does this look like? Does it look like one of those transparent pearls in the sky that's from the translated word of Buddha in which they speak of? Some food for thought. Also, I want to add here is when you really look at it, it does look like that there's a being in meditation pose and that this craft or this structure is around it. So some of the Pleiadians that I've worked with, I've actually seen them be able to run their hand out and they create a craft through thought. They're not in their Merkaba yet, but they're able to start and manipulate matter, and that's what they're doing to travel and protect themselves from outside environments until they're able to work in the Merkaba. And so, yes, a lot of these beings don't need crafts. Some of them do. It all depends on their level of consciousness. So, here's another example of the pearl in the sky. So you could do intention experiments, like sit there, focus, and call upon these beings. I don't call it summoning. Though people call me a summoner, I've never used that term. What I'd like to say is that it's more like that you invite them in. And it's like a friend, you ring them up, see if they're available for a coffee or to catch up and have a chat. Sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not. And because they understand the nature of reality, they can basically teleport to where you are in just seconds. Some crafts, it could take hours. It depends on the technology, but those that are very advanced, they pick up on the intention from the individual putting it out. And like I say, always do a clearing beforehand. And if you go out, look for something that even looks like a star in the sky in the middle of the day. Sometimes you'll see them doing crazy maneuvers, flickering, pulsating, doing different things, blinking in, blinking out. This is usually got to do with the craft coming into this reality when you see it blinking and it's going back out, and only a fraction of it sort of popping into this dimension. Sometimes something that looks like a star could actually be the size of the sun or even bigger, or the size of the earth, but they're only allowing a small fraction of that to actually pierce through to this dimension, because if it fully came through, it could cause a bit of havoc. So this is the way these things sort of work, and I'll explain it more and more as we go along throughout the series. So as an example, I spoke about the blue orbs, the Elohim. Here's an image I took years ago. I believe this was 2011, and I actually saw this come through a portal in my home. It sort of went through the circumference following the wall of my apartment at the time and went back out the wall in which the portal opened up on. It actually went through the wall, and as it came back into my lounge room, this is the photo that I took. So I'll go into a little bit right now of the Shiji material again. The golden line beings from Sirius and the light blueprint geometry connecting them to their brothers and sisters in Orion and Lyra are here to assist and protect you. They are from the realms constructed of light. The golden lion beings are back here to protect and assist you, and also Michael. So Michael's also assisting them in terms of what they're doing in terms of protection when they're clearing up energies and things of that nature. So now below that, it goes into the pearls in the sky from Shiji as well, which was confirming what I was saying about it. The pearls in the sky from the ancient texts of Buddha, ancient art depicting Jesus and other beings in white, rainbow, blue orbs, and even beings coming from the Elohim vibration. All this tells of or depicts true events. So that artwork going back a long time does actually depict real events. Now what I'm about to show you is from William Henry's website, from an article called The Blue Avians and the Blue Spear Beings. Do you know what love can do? As we can see here, we can see this being that's appearing as a blue being in a whitish type orb, maybe a bit bluish purple. Here's another one. Here's Jesus in an orb. It could be one of those pearls in the sky that I'm filming. Here's another one. Another one, look at that. A white spear with blue inside it, and Jesus is inside there. And I've had experiences with him as well, but I know him as Yeshua. And here we go, look at this. Are they in that kingdom up there? Are they in the group collective consciousness experiencing this? Is this the other realms? Is this the heavenly kingdom? Is this the other dimensions? Think about it. Food for thought. Look at this one. This is beautiful and brilliant. Again, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? And all this does lead to the rainbow light body. So I've experienced the geometric light realm. So outside of source, when you're going into it and coming out of it, there's what I call the rainbow light realms. Now, each individual color has its own consciousness and its own realm, and there's geometry with it as well. There's vibrations within the vibration of each realm. And then they start to bleed together to create the rainbow realm. And this is where a lot of beings reside. The angelic light beings reside throughout all these geometric light realms in the rainbow realm itself. And when you're in there, it's sort of almost like a kaleidoscope effect. And I'm seeing Joe Dispenza do work on that now, and I'm like, he's on the ball. And I never connected the two, but when you see a kaleidoscope and you turn it and you see how the fractalism is going on there and all the different colors, is very similar to that. Now, the rainbow body is achieving that ascension, and it takes a lot of work. Now, it's activating the 7 different layers, the different colours of the light body, and you've got to go through a process of self-mastery with this. A lot of the Tibetans say for years and years you can only have pure thoughts of happiness and joy and bliss. But there's many different ways to obtain it, but it really does take the self-mastery work, and these guys spend all their time doing that, trying to achieve that, and we see amazing ramifications from those that achieve their rainbow light body. They can shrink down to doll size, they can turn into ash, many different things happen, but they're shedding the human physical body and going into light body form. They've ascended, they've done what they needed to do here, they've done their walk here, and they're going on. And it's up to them what they do from that state, because it's a very highly advanced state that even other beings in different densities, instead of slowly going up, achieving the rainbow light body, what's happened here on Earth with these Tibetan monks and beings that achieve the rainbow light body, they're going basically from here straight back up. But in the other densities, what I'm saying is that they go slowly up the dimensions, and that's what they're trying to achieve again. So it's part of the purpose of why we left Source, was to find it again, and we find it through obtaining the rainbow light body through enlightenment, happiness, joy, gratitude, and bliss. And from that, you see the Creator within all Creator. Even the Native Americans talk about rainbow beings. The Aboriginals here in Australia, the original people, talk about the rainbow serpent. Is it something that they're, really connecting in there that may be connected to these geometric light realms and the rainbow light body? Because apparently that rainbow serpent helped shape and mold the Milky Way galaxy and Earth itself. And I believe that everything comes from that geometric light realm, or realms, as it comes from Source into itself, as strange as that sounds, into manifestation from those beings that manifest and are worker beings and create through imagination in those realms that I was talking about in earlier episodes, if that makes sense. So I hope I'm making sense here. So I've been talking about channeled material throughout this series so far. Here's a little exercise if you're interested in it this week, and I get asked by a lot of people, any techniques or tools for channeling? Well, one thing I can tell you that may help you, and I don't really do it myself because the method that's happened for me, it just happened. It was automatic. It just come into being, and when you're channeling, you can't look at the information, and I'll explain this a bit more further on. So when you're writing it out, basically don't look at what's going on, don't try to absorb it, because as soon as you look into it too much or question it, you break the multidimensional mind link from that which you're connecting with. And so always do a clearing before any of these things. Make sure that the energies are pure. So do whatever clearing works for you. Whether imagining that you're in a ball of light, thinking love, light, and bliss over and over, any of the exercises that we've done, do what works for you. And then do this. I want you to set a subject. So you could write, say, 15 minutes on gratitude. And start to write out from your own perspective, and you'll notice something will take over and it will start to flow through you. So set the intention, do a clearing first, set the intention, invite any guides that you already know of or beings that you're working with or the Pleiadians or whatever you're comfortable with that are in line with the awakening healing process of humanity, and then sit there and go, all right, I'd like you to work through me and I'll be a vehicle, and I want 15 minutes on gratitude, start to write, and you'll notice that it will take on a life of its own. And then later on, try it again, do a different subject, 15 minutes on love, so write for 15 minutes on love, or whatever the topic is. So see how you go with that. We're going to wrap it up here. Again, thank you for watching this series. I'm Peter Maxwell Slater, your host, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you.